part of repeating last year's final, so you'll be looking for the same result.
We will, if we can. The tables have turned a little bit. I think last year Silvermines had beaten us easy in the preliminary rounds, and then I suppose the incentive was back to us to try and match them in the final. So maybe it was an advantage to us that time because we had something to prove. Whereas this year, it's a little bit different. I suppose we've beaten them in the preliminary rounds, and now they have something maybe to prove. So it's a little different twist to it now this year, yeah.
Yeah, you were fairly impressive in the round-robin games.
We were. The girls played well. They were in good form. Things clicked for us. So, but then it was a different story in the semi-final against Mullinahone, and that was a much tighter game, and it was more a reflection of the competition itself. I think at one stage there might have been only a goal in it, maybe at one stage during the game, I'm not sure. But yeah, and I think we just grafted hard in the end and we got a late goal to seal it. But yeah, that was a tricky game. It was a difficult game to play, yeah. Yeah, it is all to play for now. In fairness, it was kind of going into the unknown a little bit because we played Silvermines already. And I think they'd played a camogie match that morning, and I think it was 13 aside. So I'd say they were a bit flat-footed that day. So I'd expect a much fresher team now coming up, and I think they were probably missing a few girls as well. So yeah, I think it'll be a different. It won't be like it was in the preliminary rounds. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I suppose looking at your semi-final, it looked at the 2 minutes you had 2 early goals that it was going to be another handy win, but Mullinahone really put you to the pin of the collar. I suppose a combination of poor finishing and good defending kept you in front the whole way through before that late goal from Grace Fitzpatrick Ryan.
Yeah, Thomas, look, I think ladies football can be a strange game at times. You can go a few goals up, then sit back, and the other opposition can get a few goals. So a match can change very quickly. So it can be deceiving. You can get off to a great start. And you know what, little things can turn a game if a girl wins a ball or something, and it can bring on the rest of the team. And no, that was a tough game now against Mullinahone. And, we missed scores as well. But I'm glad it was a tough game because I think if it had been one-sided for any reason, it wouldn't have been good now. Yeah. So hopefully it'll stand to the girls later on.
Yeah, I suppose that result, it just goes to show there be no complacency going into the final either.
Oh, no, none whatsoever. No, because Silvermines have won the Junior B last year. So a lot of these girls would have played Junior B last year. They won the county final. So, no, and we've no reason to be complacent at all. So, no, looking forward to it. But yeah, we kind of going into a little bit unknown, and this will be a much stronger Silvermines team than the team we played in the preliminaries.
Yeah, because just talking about the Junior B there, I suppose a lot of your players would have been involved with Junior B last year, and you probably would have been, like Sunday, strong favourites for that, and you probably let yourselves down in the county semi-finals. So it's another way of the girls not getting complacent either. So it's going to be a real ding-dong battle on Sunday.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, look, last year's junior was disappointing for us. Again, a bit like the under-21s, we were travelling well throughout the preliminary games, and then when it came to the crunch, we slipped up. So it's disappointing when that happens. So, look, I think against Mullinahone, the girls really dug deep, I thought, for the last 5 minutes there. They tackled back, tracked back. So if they can bring that again, it should be a good, tight game. They've worked really hard, in fairness to the girls. They put a huge effort in when they are playing. You see it yourself, Thomas, the effort they put in those matches. I'd love to have a kilometre reading on what the distance they travel in those games. And it's tough on them. Like maybe we don't always appreciate the work rate that they do on the pitch. Yeah, you got to admire them. You really do now. The girls are great, the effort they put in.
Yeah, and I suppose, like looking at last year's final, Silvermines got a super start. They were 4-8 to 2 points up in the first quarter. If you give them that kind of a start this Sunday, there's no way that you're going to turn it around this time.
No, and we can't afford to do that. I think that was kind of a once-off. That was an exceptional result that day. that I don't know if you've ever seen a result like that, you know. So no, that rarely happens a second time. So hopefully we won't have that kind of a margin in the first half. Yeah, hopefully we'll be a little bit closer than that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen, obviously that game was streamed and we've seen the views from it. It's one of the highest viewed games last year. So no doubt you'll be hoping loads of people tune in at the weekend again.
Yeah, it's terrific. I can't get over, you know, the amount of people that are watching these games. It's incredible. It really is. I suppose it's a great reflection on the girls and on ladies football. I couldn't get over the numbers that you mentioned there. And look, that's terrific, and long may it continue. And it's amazing how many people outside of the two teams obviously are watching the games. And that can only be good. And hopefully of all the finals coming up at the weekend, that they'll be enjoyable to watch for whoever is watching them live streamed.
Yeah, Pat, we wish you the best of luck and we'll be talking to you after the game.
Thank you, Thomas.
Anthony, huge game Sunday, repeated last year's final.
Yeah, definitely. Surprised to see both of us back in the final again, but I suppose maybe even at the start of the year we were probably looking at each other saying we'll probably take each other on again. It's the Division 3. Last year we were in Division 3, but there was only 3 divisions, so I suppose you could say we're in the higher division this year. But they've been looking quite strong during the league part of it. They give us a nice tidy hammering in the round-robin game. I think you videoed it. But then again, we weren't at a full strength, and I'm sure they weren't full strength either. So it'll be a ding-dong affair. I reckon it'll be a tight game, as in tight on the scoreline, but not tight on the play. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. So may the best team win, really.
Yeah, and I suppose looking back at last year's game, like you had a great start. I think you were something like 4-8 to 2 points up after a quarter of an hour. It looked like you were going to run away with it.
That's right, yeah. But they got their running game going in the second quarter, and in the third quarter, then they really drilled it home to us. They got a few good goals. We tried to come back at them, but we just didn't seem to have energy on that day. Like, it was a really warm day, if I remember correctly. We just didn't seem to have the energy to stay with him. So by the looks of things, they play a similar game this year. So it's up to us to try and counter that and see what we can do. We reckon we have the players to take them on. And sure, it'll be a good game, I'd say.
Have you many players lost since last year?
Not overly, no. There's about 4 gone. But then again, some of the younger girls that were on the periphery last year are now, we say, playing regularly with us. Like, so they've got stronger. So it's about one has cancelled out the other. And the girls that we say were new to us last year, they've got another year under their belt. So we probably have a more settled squad this year and more consistency within the games.
Yeah, and that game in the round robin really won't have any effect on this game Sunday.
No. Like, we were, as I said, we were down a few personnel. I think we actually ended up playing 13 aside, I think, that day, because we were down so many. And I think they were down some too as well. So, no, you discount that. Like, even just with the scoreline in itself, like, was a bad result for us. But, like, ultimately it didn't decide whether we were going to get into a semi-final or not, because they did similar to all the other teams in our group.
Yeah, and you were fairly impressive in your semi-final win against Letton Emily.
Yeah, it's probably tighter. It was a tighter game than what the scoreline would suggest. At half-time, first quarter was really a ding-dong affair. Like, you couldn't say one team was better than the other. We got a bit of momentum in the second quarter, which allowed us to open up a gap. They put serious pressure in the third quarter. They actually outscored us, but it was very low scoring. But really, we got a lucky goal, and like, that opened out a big gap then for us, and we just ran out easy winners then. So the scoreline didn't really reflect how tight and how hard the game was. But I suppose when you look back on it, we were better. We were always looking more dangerous than they were. It was just a case of us getting the scores.
Yeah, and I suppose with you winning the Junior B County final last year, the club is in a good place.
It is, yeah. Like, and they won the Féile B last year. We've won the Féile A this year. They won an under 14 B county championship last year. We competed in under 21 county final last year. Like, we're doing our best to try and promote football in the north. Like, ourselves in Rockvale, we're doing our best to try and get girls playing. Rockville have about 30 players at adult level. We've about 30 players in adult level. They're not available to us every night. That's just the way it is, because camogie fixtures and stuff like that have an impact with multiple clubs. So we're doing quite well. The aim is just to keep it going. And if you win some trophies along the way, good.
Yeah, well, it augurs well for the future, Anthony. Wish you the best of luck Sunday and looking forward to seeing you at the game.
Yes, thanks, Thomas. Yeah.